तस्मै श्री नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तविंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे भूतैर्महद्भिर्यैमा पुरो विभु निर्मायशेते यदमुषु पूरुषा भुङ्क्ते गुणान् षोडशात्मका सोऽलङ्कृशिष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे श्रीकृष्ण शरणं शरणागतम् कथामृतं सततपीवतम् भक्तिवेदान्तमार्गपन्थनं सर्वलोकऋषिदेव जन्मप्रसन्नं सर्वलोकऋषिदेव जन्मप्रसन्नम्. Hare Krishna, Prabhus and Matajis. So let's continue with our meditation on the 11th chapter of the 10th canto, chapter titled The Childhood Pastimes of Krishna. And the first part of this chapter deals with the aftermath of Yamuna trees being uprooted by Krishna. And yesterday we covered the base translation. There they saw the fallen Yamuna trees on the ground. This is the residence of Vrindavan, especially elderly gopas. But they were bewildered because even though they could directly perceive that the trees had fallen, they could not trace out the cause for their having done so. And we discussed a bit that how Krishna is the cause of everything. Sarvakarana karanam, but of him there is no cause. So it is indeed unbelievable that a little boy, 3 years, 4 months old, could uproot such trees which even combined strength of 1,000 elephants could not even shake. Let's go to text number 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kalam Vikarshantam Dhanabadha Chabalakam Tasyedam Kuta Asharyam Utpata Iti Katara. Translation. Krishna was bound by the rope to the Ukhala, the mortar which he was dragging. But how could he have pulled down the trees? Who had actually done it? Where was the source for this incident? Considering all these astounding things, the cowherd men were doubtful and bewildered. Would anyone like to read the purport, please?
I can read, Prabhu.
Please, Prabhuji, thank you.
The cowherd men were very much agitated because the child Krishna, after all, had been standing between the two trees, and if by chance the trees had fallen upon him, he would have been smashed. But he was standing as he was, and still the things had happened. So who had done all this? How could these events have happened in such a wonderful way? These considerations were some of the reasons they were agitated and bewildered. They thought, however, that by chance Krishna had been saved by God so that nothing had happened to him.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So as usual, in the last sentence of the purport, Prabhupada hits the punchline. They thought, however, that by chance Krishna had been saved by God so that nothing had happened to him. So this is the mood of Vrindavan, not of awe and reverence, not that Krishna is Godhead or God, but Krishna is very special, in the mood of intimacy and love and devotion. The Vrajavasis regard Krishna as all in all. So they cannot fathom that a 3-year-old child could have done something like this. And in every instance that has happened so far in relation to Putana, Shattasur, Trinavata, they actually think that Providence and Supreme Lord Narayana is somehow saving this child. And this child, although, they think that is the son of Nanda Maharaj, and is the center of everyone's love and attention in Vraja, but they think of him as ordinary, not having the prowess of the Supreme Lord. Any comments on this verse? So when we look at the word to word, we see, Ulu Khalam, the wooden mortar, Vikarshantam, dragging, Damna, with rope, Baddham cha, and bound by belly, Balakam, Krishna. And so here we see the word used is Balakam. They regard Krishna only as a child. He's just a Balaka. And on top of that, he's Baddham. He himself is bound. So how can he uproot the trees? If he's all powerful, couldn't he have just opened the ropes himself and freed himself? Kasya, of whom? Idam, this, Kutaha, where from? Where from these trees were uprooted? Kasya, of whom? Who has uprooted these trees? Ascharyam, these wonderful happenings. It is indeed Ascharya. It is bewildering. At the same time, Utpataha. It is disturbing as well. Why is it disturbing? Because these trees could have fallen on Krishna. Krishna could have been smashed. So they are very concerned about Krishna because Krishna is the object of their love and affection, and they cannot think anything bad or harmful happening to Krishna. Iti thus kataraha, they were very much agitated. So any questions or comments on this verse?
Prabhu, I've got a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, before Krishna was being bound by Mother Yashoda, you know how we saw the play between Vibhuti Shakti and Kripa Shakti. So first, Vibhuti Shakti was not allowing Krishna to be bound because Krishna doesn't want to be bound, or his, which is under Satya Sankalpa Shakti, I think.
Yes.
But then Kripa Shakti got, when he saw Yashoda Maya tired, then Kripa Shakti activated, and then the Vibhuti Shakti subsided because Kripa Shakti kind of took over. That makes, complete sense. But here what we are seeing is, while he's being bound, which is, he's under the Leela Shakti, he's kind of behaving as a child because he's not, he could, Vibhuti Shakti cannot let him bound. So if he's bound, that means he's still under the Leela Shakti. But then at the same time, simultaneously, he's aware about the condition of Nalkavera and Manigriva, and of course the word of his devotee Narada. And is, like, again, this is my understanding and could be my speculation, like his Kripa Shakti is also acting at the very same time. So this is interesting. Like earlier it was one or the other, but now, like, is it like, is my observation okay that it's kind of simultaneously both things are happening?
You can say that. And so the question, basically, I think, in a nutshell, you're asking that he's bound. Mother Yashoda was able to bind him, but why didn't he release himself later on? He could have later on released himself.
Yes.
The answer to that question is that when Krishna is bound by a devotee with love, then that bondage of love is stronger than even Krishna and his will. So, in Gujarati, there is a bhajan my mother used to play. Marare Bandha Vaishnavana Bande, Vaishnava Bandha Minav Bandere. Something of that sort. I may not be saying it exactly. Ek bar Vaishnava mujhne bande, to ye bandhav mein na chute re. That if, I cannot bind Vaishnavas, but Vaishnavas can bind me. And once if Vaishnavas with love, they bind me, that bondage cannot be broken. And as we see here, firstly, Mother Yashoda had warned everyone, all the children that were around, that I dare, if anyone, unties Krishna, he has to reckon with me and my anger. And secondly, Krishna himself was perturbed and disturbed that if I open myself, then Mother Yashoda again, would be very angry with me, and I'd be the object of further chastisement. So you're right, Krishna's Kripa Shakti, along with Leela Shakti, is acting there to that extent that he is under the order and constraint of the devotee's will and power. At the same time, the Leela Shakti acts to such an extent that whatever other work that has to be done, it gives Krishna the knowledge of that no, this has to be done. These two trees are standing, and Narad Muni has given the words. So now you have to fulfill Narad Muni's words. So Leela Shakti is, Lord's Leela Shakti is very interesting, that as far as the devotees are concerned, Krishna comes under the control of devotees. For example, in a wrestling match, when there is a wrestling match between the Gopa Balas in Vrindavan, then Krishna, out of love, loses the wrestling match to Balram and Sri Ram and Pati. And they have a bet that whoever loses, they have to carry the winner on their shoulders and do the parikrama of all of Vrindavan. And the winners will shout, oh, yes, we have defeated Krishna, we have defeated Krishna. So Krishna on one hand kills so many demons, but with his friends, when he's wrestling, he loses. Why? Because his Gopa Balas, they actually love him unconditionally. And in front of them, Krishna loses. But when a demon comes, then the Leela Shakti reminds Krishna, hey, you are Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are in control. These demons are harassing your beloved devotees of Vrindavan, and now you assume your, supreme power, supreme tejas, and kill these demons. So this is how, in a unique way, Leela Shakti is acting. For the devotees, Leela Shakti acts to cover Krishna's supremacy within Krishna himself. But when it comes time for deliverance of demons and like Nalkuvera and Manigriv, and interacting with demigods like Indra, Varuna, and Brahma, then the Leela Shakti acts to tell, hey, you are supreme, and you have come here to establish the principles of religion, and you have to act accordingly. Is that, does that give some clue, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. So in these when Krishna's Leela Shakti reminds Krishna about how great he is it still the Leela Shakti, or it's more like a Vibhuti Shakti being activated?
Well, Leela Shakti, it arranges things in a way so that Krishna's pastimes are relishable when he is with the devotees.
Right.
And when the interaction with the demon happens, so that the purpose of Vinashaya Chadushkritam, that is established. And then the Vibhuti Shakti is, you can say, activated by Leela Shakti, depending on the circumstances.
And in circumstances, it can be either Vibhuti Shakti or Kripa Shakti or any other Shakti, just to make sure the pastimes goes as it should be.
Exactly, Prabhuji, exactly.
Oh, yeah, makes sense for me. Makes sense. Thank you so much.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, can I add something here?
Please, Prabhu.
In the Shastra just mentioned, the Shaktis are interacting in a way. The example analogy is given that when, in the village earlier times, when they used to boil the milk and they want the milk to just keep on boiling, they'll add a few straws of dry hay, right? So when the milk is boiling, you will only see the milk. Somehow, suddenly, you will see the dry hay, and then again it will disappear because there's more milk and a couple of straws of hay. So Krishna's Bhaktavatsala Shakti or Kripa Shakti is like the milk. And in Vrindavan, suddenly you will see some Aishwarya somewhere. So this is like, instantaneously changing. And a lot of emotions are also happening in this entire Leela, and of course, all the other Leelas. Devamrita Swami, in his book Bhakti Bhava, he writes that when we read, say, example, Krishna book or some other book like that, basically in every page we can find, the emotions, what is happening in the Leela. But that is when we are studying these scriptures with attention. So these emotions are there, but they just keep on coming and going based on, what is required at that time in the Leela.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving further insights onto this. It's a nice analogy you use, like boiling of milk. We'll go to text 4. Bala uchur anen neti tirya gatam ulu khalam vikarshata madjagena purushau api achakshmahi. Translation: Then all the cowhead boys said, "It is Krishna who has done this." When he was in between the two trees, the mortar fell crosswise. Krishna dragged the mortar, and the two trees fell down. After that, two beautiful men came out of the trees. We have seen this with our own eyes. Would anyone like to read the paper, please?
I don't know. Yes, please.
Please, Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhu, which purport is it? We got lost in the
Text 4.
Oh yeah, just give me.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can read.
Yes.
Sorry. Oh,
May I read, Prabhuji?
Then all the said,
okay.
it
No,
is
no, Krishna's.
Krishna's playmates wanted to inform Krishna father of the exact situation by explaining that not only did the trees break, but out of the broken trees came two beautiful men. All these things happened, they said. We have seen them with our own eyes.
Thank you so much, Neil Madhav Prabhu. So nice to see you in the morning with Bhagavatam. This is the culture that we should, invite within the family environment. So nice. So, word to word, if we look at to get further insights, Balaha, all the other boys, Uchuhu said. So there were many boys, 3 to 4 years of age, Krishna's friends, but they were all Balaha boys. And, later on we'll see that the elderly men just simply dismissed it, because firstly they could not believe that Krishna could have done this. And then secondly, on top of that, they mentioned that two beautiful men came out of the trees. And that was like really extraordinary and completely, they dismissed it. How can there be two beautiful beings, extraterrestrial beings, come out of the trees? Aneneti, by him, Krishna, iti, thus, Tiriyak, crosswise Gatam, which had become Ulukhalam, the wooden mortar, Vikarshata, by Krishna, who was dragging, Madhyagena, going between the two trees, Purushau, two beautiful peasants. Api, also, Achakshmahi, we have seen with our own eyes. Chaksha, Chakshu, we say Chakshu means eyes, or opening the vision of eyes so that we can see it properly. So here, usually people challenge, if you can show me God, and if I can see the God with my own eyes, then only I believe. So here the children have seen it with their own eyes, Achakshmahi. However, when they tell, we have seen this with our own eyes, Krishna uprooted the trees, and from the trees, two beautiful men came out. Then we can see what the reaction of the Brajavasis, elderly men, will be. Let's look at text 5. Nate tat uktam jagryuhur nate घटेतेति तस्य तत् बालस्योत्पाटनं tarvo केचित् संदिग्धचेतसः. Translation: because of intense paternal affection, the cowherd men, headed by Nanda, could not believe that Krishna could have uprooted trees in such a wonderful way. Therefore, they could not put their faith in the words of boys. Some of the men, however, were in doubt. Since Krishna was predicted to equal Narayana, they thought it might be that he could have done it. Would anyone like to read the paper, please?
I can read, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
One view was that it was impossible for a small boy like this to have done such a thing as a pulling down the trees. But there was doubts because Krishna had been predicted to equal Narayan. Therefore, the cowherd men were just in dilemma.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So we look at word to word, na, not, te, all the gopas, tat uktam, being spoken by the boys, jagruhu, would accept, na ghateta, it cannot be. So they simply could not put faith in the words of the children. Iti, thus, tasya, of Krishna, tat, the activity, balasya, of a small boy like Krishna. They considered Krishna to be a balaka, just a small boy. How he could have done this? Utpatanam, the uprooting, taravo, of the true trees, kechit, some of them, sandigdhachetasa, became doubtful about what could be done, because Gargamuni had predicted that this child would be equal to Narayana. So at the back of their minds, the Brajavasis always had this thing, because Gargamuni had actually predicted that Krishna will be equal to Narayan in prowess. So they don't consider him as God, but in some instances, when something happens, they think, oh no, Gargamuni had said that, so maybe, but it's always maybe, but they always end up dismissing it. No, it cannot be. This is our Krishna, this is our boy. He cannot be like that. He's just a small boy. Text number 6. Ulukhalam vikarshantam damna baddham svat atmajam vilokyananda prahasad vadano vimumuchaha. Translation: When Nand Maharaj saw his own son bound with ropes to the wooden mortar and dragging it, he smiled and released Krishna from his bonds. Anyone like to read the paper, please?
Can
Hare
I
Krishna, I can read.
Please go ahead.
Nand Maharaj was surprised that Yashoda, Krishna's mother, could have bound her beloved child in such a way. Krishna was exchanging love with her. How then could she have been so cruel as to bind him to the wooden mortar? Nand Maharaj understood this exchange of love and therefore he smiled and released Krishna. In other words, as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, binds a living entity in fruitive activities, he binds Mother Yashoda and Nand Maharaj in parental affection. This is his pastime. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Again, the last sentence, is the punchline. As Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, binds a living entity in fruitive activities, he binds Yashoda and Nand Maharaj in parental affection. This is his pastime. So when we look at the word ulu khalam, the wooden mortar, vikarshantam, dragging, damna, by the rope, baddham, bound, swam atmajam, his own son Krishna, vilokya, by seeing Nanda Maharaj, prahasat, vadanaha, whose face began to smile when he saw the wonderful child, Vimomocha ha, released him from the bonds. So Sakirai Prabhu, His Grace Sakirai Prabhu gave a wonderful class, in I think few Saturdays ago on this pastime, after the pastime of Krishna uprooting the two Yamalarjana trees, of how Nand Maharaj released Krishna from the bondage. And no one can open that bondage that Mother Yashoda tied, because the bondage of love cannot be broken. And it was a very tense situation, because the first reaction of all the elderly men, especially Nand Maharaj, was that who could be so cruel to tie this child? What if these trees had fallen on the child? What calamity would happen if these trees smashed our little child? But as investigations were held and it was found out why Mother Yashoda bound Krishna, then Nand Maharaj could to some extent understand this pastime. And of course, without Yashoda Mai's permission, no one would have untied Krishna except for Nand Maharaj. And even Nand Maharaj took permission from Mother Yashoda. Is it okay now if I open the knots of the bondage of this Damna? As in Damodar Ashtakam, it is very nicely sung. Rudantam muhurnetram yamam rujantam karambuja yugamena satankanetram muhuswasakam pati rekanka kantha sthitagraibam damo daram bhakti baddham. So it was the bhakti baddham that actually tied Krishna, and that bhakti baddham cannot be released or cannot be untied unless the person who ties himself agrees to release the Lord. And in this instance, we see only Nand Maharaj, with permission of Mother Yashoda, could release the Lord. And this whole pastime, we'll discuss again tomorrow, how it increases the love of Mother Yashoda and Krishna even further. So something to look forward to. Jai Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day, Prabhus and Matajis, and we look forward to your association tomorrow morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.